This is part 2 of the homework video guide for section 3.2 on functions. And for this video, I will continue off with question number 11. And what I've done for question number 11 is I've gone ahead and I've labeled all the key points from the graph. And then for part B, I need to express this function using ordered pair notation. Okay, so let's do that. So all I have to do here is just circle my key points here. For example, -3, 1. That's my first ordered pair. And then I have -2, 0. And then I have another pair of -1, -1. And after that, I just continue writing out the ordered pairs. So I have 0, -2, which is this point right here. And then I have 1, -1. And then I have 2, 0. And then finally, my last point is 3, 1. So there is my function expressed using ordered pair notation. Okay, and then for part C here, all I have to do now is I need to take my ordered pairs and transfer those results into a table. So I have -3 and 1. And then after that, I have -2 and 0. And then after that, I have -1 and 1. So -1, -1. And then I have 0, 2. Sorry, 0, -2. And then we have 1, -1. I have 2, 0. And finally, I have 3, 1. All right, so there is my function using a table format. And that should do it for question number 11. Let's move on to question number 12 now. For question number 12, I need to use the mapping notation to answer the questions below. So here's my domain, there's my range, and I need to express this function using a table format. Okay, so I have a -1 here, and that -1 corresponds to this 0, so that's going to be written as -1 and 0. After that, I have 0, and that corresponds to this 1, so now I have 0 and 1. And then I have 1 here, and that corresponds to that -1, so that's going to be 1 and -1. And then I have this, 2, and that corresponds with that 2. So now I have 2, 2. All right, so there's my table based on my mapping notation there. And remember, your domain is your x values, and your range is your y values. Okay, and after that, I need to express this using ordered pair notation. Okay, so if I have this ordered pair, that can be written as -1, 0. If I have 0, 1, that's 0, 1. And I have 1 and -1, so that's going to be 1, -1. And finally, there's 2 and 2, so 2, 2 there. All right, and after that, let's just plot the points here. So -1, 0 is over here. So that point right there is -1, 0. And then after that, I have 0, 1, which is this point right there. And then this point right here, 1, -1 is over here. And finally, last point, 2, 2, is this point right there. So 2, 2 is this point right there. So that's 2, 2. All right, so that's it for question number 12, not too bad. And as I move on to question number 13, this is very similar. Now I'm given this ordered pair, and then I need to take these ordered pairs, and then I need to transfer them into a table here, right? So for question number, this is question number 14, sorry. For 14, I need to take my ordered pairs and transfer them to a table. Okay, let's do that. I have -4, 3, so -4. Oops, sorry, my pen's not working there, so let's try that again. So -4 and 3, and then I have -2 and 1, and I have 0 and 3, so that's going to be 0, 3. And then finally, the last one here is 2, 1, so 2 and a 1 there. So there is my table format answer there, given the ordered pairs. And then finally, I need to graph these results here. So if I have -4, 3, so I go left 4 and up 3. So there it is. There's -4, 3. And then I have -2 and 1. So there's -2 and 1. And I have 0 and 3, so 0 and 3 is going to be right about here. It's 0, 3. And finally, 2, 1 is about there. So this is the point 2, 1. And then I'll go ahead and label the rest of the points here. This is 0, 3. This is -4, 3. And this point right there is -2, 1. All right, so that's how you complete question number 14. We're just taking the ordered pairs and transferring them to a table and a graph. Okay, let's keep on going here. And finally, let's do question number 16 here. So for question number 16, a person bought 4 cars over an 8-year period, and this person paid $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, and $40,000 for his cars. And then when he was trading them in for a new car, he only received half the original amount. Okay, so there's a few questions associated with this. I'm going to start off with part B. I think part B is a little bit easier. Okay, so represent this function using mapping notation. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to write out the dollar value of what he paid for those cars. So the first car he paid $20,000. The second car he paid $25,000. The third car he paid $30,000. And finally, the fourth car he paid $40,000. Okay, so this is kind of like your domain, which is kind of like actually no, I won't call that your domain. Let's just call that let's call this your domain here. So these are your x values. Okay, now what's happening to your x values? Well, if you read the problem here, he only received half the original value when he trades in those cars, right? So this $20,000 car, when he trades it in, he only gets half, right? He gets half of the original value, right? So that $20,000 becomes $10,000. And this $25,000, half of that is going to be $12,500. And this $30,000 becomes $15,000. And this $40,000 becomes $20,000. All right, so what's happening there is the value of the car is being divided by 2. So this is kind of like your y value, right? Your final value is, the final value of that car is half the original amount. Now another way that you can express y here is f of x, right? So f of x is the function notation there. So I want to start off with question B here to show you what's happening with the numbers here. Okay, so now let's go back to question A. Question A is saying represent this function using function notation. All right, so what I'm trying to say here is these values here in green, the 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, 40,000, those are your x values, right? So those x values, they're being divided by 2, right? So all these yellow values, they've been divided by 2. So when you do that is you write that as x divided by 2. And because these values represent the y value, you can say y equals to x over 2. That's totally fine. Or you can say f of x equals to x over 2. Those are 2 ways where you can write the function notation for that particular problem. Okay, and then after that, you can definitely do parts. Parts C and D. They're not too hard to do. In fact, I'll do letter D first. Represent this function using ordered pair notation. So if I had to write this out the long way, it'd be 20,000, comma 10,000, and then we have 25,000, and that corresponds to half its value, which is 12,500. And then I have 30,000, and that's going to be 15,000 for its corresponding y value. And then finally I have 40,000, and that corresponds to 20,000. All right, and after that you just transfer those numbers into the table here. So this is 20,000, and its corresponding y value is 10,000. And then I have 25,000, and then I'll just quickly write the rest of these, and then just have the corresponding values right next to it. So 12,500, and then 15,000, and then 20,000. All right, so that concludes this homework video guide on section 3.2.